All right, so good morning, class. Today, as part of our fourth quarter examination, we will be discussing writing for creative media, different types of writing produced in the creative media sector. Okay, so let's just talk about this one. Nowadays, we are encountering a lot of issues, social issues, from environment, generational issues, discrimination, poverty, growing up, bullying, and the common one is what we call COVID-19, right? That even up to this day, we haven't resolved it yet. And of course, there's a lot of chaos or a lot of comments, reactions, or any suggestions um, that we can see in our social media platforms. Okay, so despite of their negative effects, social problems often also serve important functions for society. So society is characterized by persuasive inequality based on social class, race, gender, and other factors. For reaching social change is needed to reduce or eliminate social inequality and to create a better society. Okay, so it is important that we, at least whether we like it or not, we learn something from these experiences. Okay, and according to Martin Luther the King, we are not makers of history, we are made by history. So whoever we are right now, this is a product of our ancestors. This, we owe this from our past history. Okay, we'll learn from our experiences in the past, and although we have a lot of problems that we encounter today, but eventually in the future this will serve us a lesson for them, or we will be, this is something that we need to look forward for, this kind of very unpredicted and unexpectable moment happen in this year. Okay, so, what are the different types of writing? First, we have what we call newspaper journalism. So, what do you mean by newspaper journalism? Okay, newspaper journalism class is write stories for national, regional, and local press, as well as news and politics. They report on sport, arts and culture, science, and business. So they also cover national and local events, entertainment, and human interest stories. So that is a newspaper journalism. So for sure, you read a lot of articles, you read a lot of news online or maybe published. Uh, we also have a written, should I say, like a newspaper itself. So ayan ang kanyang ibig sabihin, alright? So again, class, newspaper journalism, traditionally, yung junior reporters write up stories allocated to them by the news desk. Okay? Kung ano yung sinabi sa kanila ng news desk, yun yung gagawin ng ating mga junior reporters. They pass this to the news editor who in turn hands them to sub-editors. Okay? So after they come up with such news, okay, they come up with that stories, of course it's subject to not literally revise but to edit it to make sure that there's no error, or to make sure that the story is more concrete or error free, diba? Yan naman ang gusto natin. Other rules include correspondents who are specialists in one field or locations, and feature writers who cover topics in greater depth, often using a more personal style. Okay, para may pagka-personal ang style niya. And kasi nga, there are feature writers. Okay, that's one element or one needed to become a feature writers, 'di ba? Kailangan meron kang sariling style. On smaller newspaper, many journalists have to multitask. They may work on layout, photography, and sub-editing as well as stories. Newspaper journalism is becoming increasingly multi-platform, making IT web and broadcast skills highly valued. So class, pag mga halimbawa yung mga journalist naman natin na nagsisimula pa lang, they they can able to do multitasking in order to give us a better stories, no? Or better coverage, right? And lineup of yung mga news, no? So next we have what we call broadcast journalists. As a broadcast journalism is the field of news and journals which are broadcast that is published by electrical methods instead of the older methods such as printed newspapers and posters. So, broadcast methods class include radio via air cable and internet television via air cable and internet, and especially recently, the internet generally. So, we all know, class, this year is the boom uh, of the internet. No, many of us working from home, and most of you class are studying at home, right? So, there's a lot of people using now internet. Okay, so we can read a lot of articles. We can read we can be updated by simply opening our social platform or social media platforms, and we can see there a lot of information. Okay, so this broadcast journalist class is actually using their voice in order to deliver information. Okay, so when they delivered information, they have their own style, they have their own technique. Okay. So as you can see a lot of broadcast journalists, like nakikita natin sa mga balita, no, halimbawa sila Mel Chanco, sila sino pa yung mga nakikita natin? Noli Di Castro, yan. They have their own style, okay? They have their own way of delivering information, okay? So creativity is also important in applying in broadcast journalism, especially if you are a broadcast journalist, because your voices matter. Aside from the fact that you are delivering that information because it's really it is verified as a fact, 'di ba? Napaka-importante ng mga meron tayong sarili nating distinction sa ating boses na kung paano natin bibigyan ng istorya na naaayon din sa boses natin. No? So that's really interesting because not all, 'di ba? Hindi naman lahat gifted sa ganyang boses, no. So nakikilala natin yung mga anchors, yan, yung mga journalists dahil sa kanilang style ng pagde-deliver ng information. Okay. So, for instance, the former is generally less complex and more conversational. Radio and television are designed to be seen and heard sooner and more often that is daily or weekly newspaper. So, dati ang radio class, no, ginagamit lang natin ang ating tenga as ginagamit natin yung tenga natin as parang mata, no? Substitution ng ating mata. So, as a radio broadcaster, 'di ba? You need to what? You need to deliver it in detail so that our senses can able to see, can able to feel, can able to touch and hear whatever they wanted to feel less based on the information he or she delivering. Okay. So hindi lang yan, even the DJ as well, they also have a way of what? Way of communicating or way of, meron din siyang style no, ng kanyang pagsasalita sa radyo. Base yan sa tema and base yan sa naka-assign sa kanya, naka-align sa kanya kung ano yung dapat, right? And nowadays, if you can see, yung radio, makikita na rin natin siya online, na mapapanood natin at the same time. Okay? So they have now a different flavor na pagdating sa radio. It's more advanced and they cater all platforms in order to have them wide coverage, 'di ba? Okay. So, magazine journalism class. This is a magazine journalist research and write news articles and features for a wide variety of periodicals including consumer, title business, journals, and trade publication. So yan ang ating magazine journalism. And you know what, class magazines have a defined readership and focus on a specialist area or interest. Nakakita naman kayo ng magazine class, di ba? Meron silang fini-feature, may sariling tema yung and concept ang isang magazine. And nakikita mo detailed yung magazine, no? Kumbaga, lahat ng nakikita mo dyan, complement yan sa isa't isa. Ibig sabihin, nagko-komplemento siya kung ano ang nilalaman ng isang ng isang magazine na yan. From the feature, from the cover itself, from the styling, from the color, things like that. So they're complementing with one another. Magazine journalism can cover a range of disciplines such as writing, sub-editing, and designing. Increasingly, magazines are also being produced for other media, especially the web. Knowledge of the concise writing style needed for the internet and search engine optimization are very useful skills, no? So yung magazine journalism class, we can also see that in some of the web, no? Nakikita natin sa iba-ibang mga website ang magazine journalism. So it's all up to you which type of magazine that you like to read and what concept and theme that you want to know. Kasi ang daming pwede sa magazine kasi. There is a section ng isang magazine, when it comes to beauty, promoting something, and marami, no? Yung mga styles, fashion, mga ganyan. Okay? So television scripting classes, television is a unique and popular form of entertainment. Bakit siya unique and a popular form of entertainment? They can cater everything plus, no? And all of your senses, no? Na gagamit mo. Watching, listening, touching at the same time. Well, Sir Ban pa na naman nasama yung touching plus. From the wordings, no? You may feel what they feel when they see what they're doing in the television. Diba? So, entertainment industry, as a very project on the entertainment industry, there are some standard rules to follow and a few tips to reach success. You have to be careful, class. If you are a television scripting, make sure it follows the guidelines, it follows the qualification or the standard na nire-require ng MTRCB. Okay? So any violence or ano pa yung mga hindi magagandang salita like mga profanity, bawal na bawal yan sa television. The reason for that is because they are catering all ages. So they are considered kids na nanonood. Okay? So in the same way as other discipline, the more experience you have writing television scripts, the more possibilities of success. Excuse me. So where are we? In the same way as other discipline, the more experience you have writing television scripts, the more possibilities of success your television show will have. Of course, learn from the lesson itself. And the competition sa television talaga, it's very difficult. Like they're all competitive. And for you to become para naman mas lamang ka sa iba, 'di ba? Kailangan yung mga lines mo and yung atake mo is different from the others. You need to be unique, but at the same time following the standard, okay? Or required standard by the MTRCB. With the help of this article, hopefully you will be able to write a detailed suspenseful and great script. So, tapos na tayo sa television class. Pero yung television scripting, nagmamatter siya kung ano yung pinapalabas, diba? So, things like that. So, film scripting, the world of film is very competitive. You may have the best movie idea of all time, but if your script isn't formatted correctly, there's a high chance that will never even get read o hindi siya nababasa. Follow the steps to maximize your chances of being your writing on the big screen, especially class if you are a script writer. It's very difficult that you're just doing it by nothing, like without passion, without ano pa, without awareness, no, na hindi mo alam yung mga techniques and styles and required standards, no. Ang mangyayari magiging fluff. Walang manonood sa ano kasi ang pangit ng lines at napaka-natural at normal lang ng mga pinapalabas mo, okay? So gusto ng tao yung naa-arouse sila, gusto ng tao na na-awaken ang kanilang mga senses based on the dialogue and based on the line that they have. And it's very important that lines is also associated with their character, okay? So film scripting, look up books on screen, writing at your local library, Many former filmmakers have written books to help people in your situation. So if you're having a hard time of how to write a script, well, we have a lot of filmmakers who publish their books. Maybe it will help for you to become a good writer. Try to develop the story so that it progresses naturally. So, class, if you are fond of writing, like if you are fond of sharing your story, writing your story, things like that, it will help you to develop your writing skills. Many first-time screenwriters feel that every second should be more exciting than the last others. Jump suddenly between excitement and no excitement at all. No? Lalo na pag isa kang first-time screenwriters, parang nararamdaman, kasi sa una pa lang class yung pressure and things like that. But if you pass on the given requirement no sa mga gusto at panglasa ng ating manonood pag nagustuhan yan class it's a fulfillment. Okay, sa una kakabahan ka pero along the way on the next time may inspire ka na magsusulat ka na but of course nagmamatter yan sa experience no. Ang maganda lang dyan class what I can suggest that if there is a rejection and if you feel there's a fluff of ano, yung walang nanood, walang may kagusto sa way ng pagsusulat mo, it's not the end of the world. Take it as a lesson and learn from it. Because you know what, class, most of the successful person or successful writers, they undergone with so many rejections. Okay, because that rejection is more, it makes you more human. Okay, so at least you know that there is something that you need to change. Okay, so make sure your plot progress gradually so that excitement builds to climax. Yun yung napaka-importante. Marunong tayo sa paraan na ganyan kung paano tayo bibitin ng isang audience and at the same time we're not compromising ang kanilang interest to know, to go with the climax. Okay? So participate in script writing forums. You can learn tips and trade ideas with fellow writers and you might even get some contacts and interest in your work, di ba? So, class, in this field, no, pinaka-importante friendly tayo, no? Sa kahit na naman sigurong trabaho, class, it's very important because you know what, class, you need to sooner or later you may have working with them. I mean, you will be working with them unexpected or expecting or expectedly, di ba? So consider purchasing script writing software. Yeah, that will also one factor, no, para matulungan ka for you to correct your grammar or to give you the standard requires sa pagsusulat ng isang script. Several programs are available that will guide you through the formatting or even convert an already written script into the correct layout. Yun ay kung may pera ka na pangbayad sa license ng script writing software. So take creative writing courses. Screenwriting is just as difficult and time consuming as other forms of writing and will be even more difficult if had a little writing practice in school. Alam mo class, napakalaki ng factor na marunong kang magsulat, no? Yung pinapagawa sa inyo ng teacher, mga essays, yan. So hopefully, ginagawa nyo so that you can able to practice how to write and how to construct your thoughts. It's very important. And game story class. So as a question go, this is not a bad one. Do games tell stories? Well, if that question's put in your mind, definitely the correct answer is yes, right? So, answering this should tell us both how to study games and who should study them. The affirmative answer suggests that games are easily studied from within existing paradigm. The negative implies that we must start afresh. But the answer depends, of course, on how you define any of the words involved in this article. I will be examining some of the different ways to discuss this. The reason why I say yes, class, because I'm an online gamer. Like, I'm not really ang tawag dito, maraming games, no? I only play Mobile Legend and they have a backstory. Some of the heroes, they have their own stories. There is stories, di ba? Why they become the way they are right now. Okay? So let this turns into a battle of words, like for example, who is the right to define narrative? My agenda or our agenda is not to save or protect any specific term. The basic point of this article class that we should allow ourselves to make distinctions. Okay? The operation of framing something as something else works by talking some notions of the source domain and applying them to the target domain. So this is not neutral because it emphasizes some traits and suppresses others. Unlike this, the act of comparing further understanding of difference and similarities and may bear hidden assumption. So class, what are the three common arguments now? Yung we use as the narratives for everything. Most games feature narrative, introductions, and backstories. Like pag may mga bagong hero naman sa Mobile Legend class, nakikita natin yung introduction niyan. No? Games share some traits with narratives. The article then explored three important reasons for describing games as being non-narrative. Ano yung mga being non-narrative? Games are not part of the narrative media ecology formed by movies, novels, and theater. Yeah. And time in games work differently than in narratives because unpredictable, especially the games, you can update a new version, you can update it's like also a movies that they have a plot, no? Ganun din sa kanila, no? From time to time, not really from time to time, but by any season, parang nagbabago ang kanilang mga character, yung itsura nila, and yung way ng, sabihin natin, yung way ng laro, no? Medyo binabago din. So the relationship between the reader, viewer, and the story world is different than the relationship between the player and the game world. No. So of course, if you are a gamer, of course your focus is the objective of the game, correct? But if you are like a reader, or should I say like just an audience, you want to know the quality of the game. Okay. So the article works with fairly traditional definition of stories and narratives. So as final point, I will consider whether various experimental narratives of the 20th century can in some concile games and narrative. Okay? So marami pang ibig sabihin ng creative media sector. Halimbawa, advertising, broadcast TV, film, news media, comic books, short story, poetry, writing for a radio, novel, life writing, writing for children, script writing, documentary, game story, web content, and non-fiction writing. So yung web content class, pag-uusapan natin yan. So non-fiction writing, anything that requires writing, it needs creativity, correct? So make sure that you know how to work your mind, or you know how to play the words, because eventually that will become your tool in order to deliver your reports, or to deliver information concise, clear, and of course giving an interest to the readers as well. So what is a web content? When we say web content, it's what does web content mean, di ba? May question tayo ba yan? Web content class refers to the textual, oral, or visual content published on a website. Content means any creative element, for example, text, application, images, achieve email messages, data e-services, audio and video files, and so on. That is actually called content. Okay? Web content is the key behind the traffic generation to websites, creating engaging content and organizing it into various categories for easy navigations. So it is more important for a successful website. Also, it is important to optimize the web content for search engines so that it responds to the keywords used for searching. Okay, so dapat alam natin yan. Ang di ba mahilig naman tayong mag-search? Okay? So later on, I will explain to you the importance of each, no? Kasi there are two basic kinds of web content. First, we have text. It is simple. It is added on the web page as part blocks or within images, no? The best written content is unique textual web content that is free from plagiarism. Web content added as text can also include good internal links, that will reader again access for more information. So ayaw natin ng mga not liable sources or not reliable sources that they are all, getting intellectual property. So ayaw natin yan. Gusto natin ng text is informative and at the same time hindi risky going source. Okay, and we also have this what we call multimedia. Multimedia class is another kind of web content, simply because multimedia refers to any content which is not text. No, hindi siya sulat or hindi siya in the form of text. Some examples include number one is animations. Animations class can be added with the help of Flash, Ajax, GIF images, as well as other animation tool for you to create an animation. Diba? So what is the purpose of animation class? The biggest use for animation is for entertainment animation, is used on TV, on your phones, and all over the internet. No? In television class, lalo na sa mga memes, ginagamit din yung mga GIF, reactions, your emotions, ganyan, or how you react on certain things. Instead of words, instead of text, they're using GIF images. No? So in television, animation is mostly used to occupy children as it gives them something to laugh about and keep them entertained for a long period of time. You know what? It's not just the kids, but we also as sabihin nating uh, man and woman. No, yan. At saka yung mga lolo't lola natin, of course, they it's pleasing to the eyes and at the same time it's a good way of communicating others without offending, but of course, sharing those kind of GIF makes them at least uh, makukyutan ba sa sinen mo. So images class are considered the most popular option to incorporate multimedia to website. Clip art, photos, or even drawings can be created by means of a scanner or a graphics editor. It is recommended to optimize the images so that the user can download them quickly. So yun lang naman ang purpose ng yun naman ang images class, no? Audio naman class is the different types of audio files can be added as part of the web content so as to increase the desirability of the website. So the following are the importance of sound in our lives. It helps us to communicate with others. By sound, we can understand the context of the words spoken. Sound can help people protect themselves from danger, such as the sound or horn of the train and other vehicles warn people to give way. But pero ang audio talaga class, it's very necessary to us as a human. No? It can be just a sound or it can be a form of communication. Then it is commonly used. All of us no produce sound, but of course except sa mga mute no or sa mga iba pang bagay na hindi nakakapag-construct ng salita but they can communicate them through sound and gestures. Video is the most popular multimedia content. However, when adding video files, the publisher should make sure that they efficiently on various browsers. Video allows you to be concise and capture viewers' interest in the first few seconds. Social media success lies in our ability to condense information down into easily digestible snippet of content that is long enough to maintain viewers' attention, but short enough to leave them wanting more. At video class, marami tayong mga vloggers dyan. Marami tayong, gumagawa tayo ng mga video, not the whole one, but at least some important moments in our life. We wanted to take a video as a souvenir. It tells a story. It tells a detail of what is really happening in there. Not necessarily that you explain the most because it's very important what we can see and we can hear. That's the advantages of the video. Okay. So remember, class, web content management is essential to run a website successfully. To manage web content, publishers should organize content in line with the requirement of the audience. This includes usage of common content, terminology, and positioning, consistent navigation, link management, and finally, metadata application. So there are a wide range of WCM tools available for effectively handling web content. So the bottom line class, it needs creativity as well here, style, and what else? It needs as well a technique and of course how you're going to attack or how you're gonna convince or get the attention of your viewer. Okay, so class, this I hope you learned something today. And for the code sa ating asynchronous class is creative. Okay, CREATIVE, creative. So that is the code. So I hope you learned something. Goodbye and thank you. See you next time. Bye bye.